This is going to be a short video. The Commander panel released a new banned and restricted announcement. I have some things to say about it, and I thought it would be fun to go through this and give my opinions on whether or not they are cooking, whether or not they are correct, in my view. Of course, this is all my opinion, but as you would know, my opinion is right. Number one on this list of cards is Gifts Ungiven, which is a very funny card. It is 4 cost, tutor up 4 cards, you get 2 of them, and you also get the other 2 in your graveyard. Now, I don't think I have to explain why the graveyard is not the Shadow Realm that people seem to think it is, and putting stuff in your graveyard might arguably make it easier to cast than harder. And also, the fact that there are a lot of ways to set yourself up for an infinite combo regardless of which cards get put where. Now, do I think that's such a bad thing? Because in theory, it does require some level of good deck building. In theory, it does require some level of good play. You have to pick the right cards. I think Gifts Ungiven should have stayed banned. I think it's not the worst unban of all time, but I do think this is going to lead to some interesting play patterns, and it's blue, which automatically means it probably should have stayed banned. One more tutor spell to the blue players. This time, they don't even have to pick specifically instants or sorceries. And now I know what you're saying. I'm a blue player. Yeah, that's right. But reading what the Commander panel has to say about Gifts Ungiven here, I still don't agree with the unban. However, I do agree that it's very fun. Sometimes, if everyone at the table knows what this card does, what you are doing with this card, Gifts Ungiven's a really fun card. I actually think that this isn't necessarily a bad thing to have. However, the problem is, not everyone is going to know that Gifts Ungiven is a win condition. And so, you're going to form a politics connection at the table and go, hey, can you give me these cards in my hand and these cards in my library? And then you're just going to win the game. Do I think that's a good thing to do, a polite thing to do? No, I think you should probably announce that Gifts Ungiven is a win condition and which cards are going to give you an infinite combo. No, I still think this card should not have been unbanned, but I think I do understand the reasoning of the Commander panel on this, and I think, for the most part, it's not going to be that much of a problem card. Sway of the Stars. Now, the Commander panel makes a very good point that this is Worldfire in blue. However, no, I think you should ban Worldfire. What both of these cards say is that the game is a draw, play another game of Magic. And I don't think I have to explain why that's not necessarily a good card for the state of the game with regards to how long Magic the Gathering games last. You can trap someone in a game for a very long time with cards like these simply by playing them once. I mean, yes, your opponents can concede, or you can concede, but if you are ever going to play Sway of the Stars or Worldfire, you are probably in a situation where you would have more fun by just conceding the game. Also, unlike Worldfire, Sway of the Stars is in blue, and I don't trust blue players to not have some way of weaseling around this. So no, I think this is no. I think this card should have stayed banned as well. Do I think it's as bad an unban as Gifts Ungiven? No, definitely not. Okay, now Braids. Braids is an interesting case, because Braids is really annoying. However, being 4 cost, having no protection, and being in a color with a substantially low amount of protection, I think Braids deserved the unban. That's going to come as a surprise to a lot of people, because this spell is an annoying spell to have in the 99, and it's a really annoying commander to play against. So, why do I think it's fine that it got unbanned? Well, for one, Wizards of the Coast has printed a lot more spells that put a lot of permanents on the field quickly. Tokens are a lot more powerful than back when Braids was initially banned. This is before we had a lot of the more ridiculous token generators. I mean, you had Krenko, but Krenko's already like a hard counter to any deck that's running Braids. That being said, this card's going to be annoying to play against, sure, but if you're playing enough removal, you have your counter spells for Braids, you have your removal for Braids. You might not even want Braids to go away because you probably have fodder and your opponents might not. I think Braids is a fine unban for the state of the game as a whole, and they are 100% correct in saying that if you don't want to play against Braids, you should probably just tell your playgroup. Coalition Victory. They are correct in saying that this is a you win the game if you control your commander card. Because yes, in any deck that's running this, you probably are going to be playing a commander that has 5 colors in the mana cost. Well, actually, a land of each basic land type, I think this card is also fine. And you know why I think it's fine? It's probably not dropping before turn 5. Most likely this card is not dropping before turn 5. This card should not be a problem. Okay, now I need to go on a tangent here. If I go to 5-color land bases, you're going to see a lot of... you're going to see the shock lands for one. The battle lands. These are what's going to make or break Coalition victory. Because I think you can actually run these pretty reasonably. They rely on basic lands, but they do have your basic land types, which means you can fetch them up with the fetch lands. They contribute 2 of your lands to Coalition victory. Basically, unless you are running specifically the fetch land shock lands, the really expensive triomes, the duels, which you're not running, or the battle lands, this card becomes a lot harder to get off. And I think Coalition Victory is pretty balanced because of that. Because unless you're playing at a super high level, this card is not going to go off. Not until pretty late in the game when you have plenty of opportunities to either kill the player who has this card. Yeah, and within the time frame where you expect the I win combos. This is an answer to infinite combos. You're going to win first. So yeah, I stand by my yes. I think Coalition Victory should have been unbanned. I think it being a game changer might even be a little bit much, but I'm fine with that for now. I'm certainly not going to run it because it's a game changer, but if they take it off a game changers list, I might be a little more tempted. Now, Panoptic Mirror. Yes, you can imprint an extra turn spell and simply win. However, I think this is a fine unban. I think there's a limited enough amount of spells that infinite combo with this that it's pretty reasonable that you're not going to run a deck that just runs Panoptic Mirror as a win condition. I mean, you could. If you're running like an Artifact Tutors deck, I can certainly see it. But I think generally speaking, most of the time, this is not going to end the game because at bracket 3, you're not running more than 3 extra turn spells, and this is a game changer. This is one of your game changers. You could run 2 tutors. So if you want to run a Panoptic Mirror deck, you have 6 cards that are going to be contributing to that, generally speaking. You can remove this probably before it goes off. In fact, you can because it's beginning of upkeep. You can disable this with stacks pieces. I think Panoptic Mirror is fine, and I think there are worse artifacts you can drop. I think this card is potentially going to be a problem, but for the meantime, I am excited to see where this goes. I am excited to see what this card does for the meta as a whole. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my terrible takes on card bans. And that's going to be it for the video.